you are. I hope it's dry where you are. It's a rainy day where I am, but I look forward to a great show with you. We're going to get into a lot of our fantasy football advice. Obviously, we will be doing drafts later on. If you want to participate in some fantasy football drafts, season-long fantasy football drafts against Butt Fumble Sports, you'll have the opportunity to do that. And of course, we will be doing baseball betting research as well. Research, we're not a sports book. We're not associated with any sports book as of right now. But we do research every single day to try to help you guys know what the best bets are to make based on the trends, data, analytics, matchups, umpires. We've been looking more and more into umpires, believe it or not. I actually have a really good umpire trend that I'll share with you in just a moment. It is so wonderful to be with you guys on this amazing morning. How you doing, everybody? Has your sports betting been going well? I hope so. Have your fantasy drafts been going well? If you've made your team so far, let me know who you have. I'd love to learn a little bit about who you're selecting and how the process went. For those that have their drafts coming up in the next few weeks, let's get into some research. Ask your questions. If you want to get into a draft with us, obviously, as I mentioned, you'll have the opportunity, but get your questions in. Plenty of opportunities to do that. Yo, I'm making my team today. Yo, Zay, let's get at it. Get your questions in. If you have sports betting questions, feel free to ask those as well. I'm not as well versed with the WNBA schedule today, but the MLB schedule, I've gone through it. I have a bunch of really interesting trends based on, the matchups, the umpires, everything we've looked at. So excited to get into that. If you're new to the program, make sure you hit the follow button. Make sure you subscribe. And of course, no matter the platform, hit the like button. We really appreciate you hitting that like button. Now, we're going to change what the like button means in a couple of weeks. Like button's going to be more and more towards how we approach fantasy football versus sports betting research. But that said, for now, just hit that like button. We appreciate you supporting the content. I already have a bunch of picks out. All of my bets are on the SHARPZ app every single day. If you're new to Butt Fumble Sports, I give away my picks every day. They may hit, they may not. It's up to you to decide whether you want to follow or fade. But I give away my picks every day for free because my attitude is you shouldn't pay for picks. You're a sports fan just like me. You should get this information for free. So I do have a bunch of picks already on the SHARPZ app. That's where I post my picks for free every day. A couple of trends that I want to call out. I'll get them out of the way now. The Houston Astros on the money line is obviously a great play. The White Sox are 0-6 as an underdog of plus 200 or worse after an away loss underplay. I know that's a lot in there, but Houston Astros money line, a very, very strong trend. Another very strong trend for you is Dodgers Cardinals on the under. Clayton Kershaw, Sonny Gray, should be a really good pitching matchup. The under is 5-1 when the Dodgers are an away favorite in a day game following an away loss. Additionally, I actually looked more and more, I've been looking at the home plate umpires each game and finding some trends around the umpires, just like referees in the NBA. I'm learning more and more how biased some of these umpires are. So as much as I just want to look at the teams or the pitchers or the players on the field, when I'm watching these games more and more, I'm like, man, these home plate umpires play such a significant factor in who's going to be the winner, and maybe more importantly, whether the over or the under hits. And I don't feel like we talk about that enough. I feel like we do in the NBA. I don't feel like we do it enough in Major League Baseball. A couple of really interesting umpire plays today. The under is a good play in the Dodgers and Cardinals game, so that paired up with some team trends. An amazing underplay when it comes to a home plate umpire is the Diamondbacks and the Rays. Diamondbacks and Rays on the under. Home plate umpire today for that game is Dan Bellino. Don't know him, just did my research about him. The under is 8-0 when Dan Bellino is the home plate umpire for a day game. Why does that matter? I don't know, but apparently this guy wants to make his late afternoon tea time because the under is 8-0 when Dan Bellino, who's the home plate umpire for Diamondbacks and Rays, or he's supposed to be, I should say this. So interesting, the NBA puts out NBA referee assignments at about 9:30 every morning. Major League Baseball does not make MLB home plate assignments known, there's an assumption that it goes in a clockwise rotation so that whoever is at first base, the next game they're going to be at home plate in a series. So you look at who's at first base yesterday and you assume they're going to be behind the plate today. Based on that, Dan Bellino is going to be the home plate umpire for Rays and Diamondbacks in St. Pete. The under is 8-0 when he's been the home plate umpire in a day game. That's just a crazy trend for you. Couple other trends for you. The New York Yankees are road underdogs. This is the great Little League World Series game that is played there in Williamsport. That said, Yankees at plus 1.5 is a phenomenal bet. The Tigers are 0-5 on the run line as a favorite following a home win under. Yesterday, they had a win against the Yankees, a low-scoring win. In the scenario that the Tigers have today, they have not covered as a favorite. 0-5 on the run line, so I like the Yankees plus 1.5. Frankly, I like the Yankees on the money line. You could even talk me into the Yankees minus 1.5. The pitching matchup is the only reason I'm not actually going in that direction. Marcus Stroman, Tariq Skubal, I still favor the Yankees on the money line, but if you wanted to take a little bit of risk, Yankees minus 1.5 is kind of interesting. They're an underdog right now. Yankees as an underdog against the Tigers. It's all about the pitching matchup. That said, let's get to some fantasy football questions. I know a bunch of you folks out there have questions about fantasy football, so we're going to focus on whatever you guys care about. Thoughts on the Lamb situation? Nico, I'm not worried about CeeDee Lamb. He will play week 1 for the Cowboys. They will figure out a situation. The way the CBA in the NFL works, players are willing to sit out in the preseason. The amount of money that they risk losing in the regular season is simply too great. I would expect CeeDee Lamb to play. If he doesn't play week 1, I would be shocked. Even so, he's playing the Cleveland Browns week 1. Not a great matchup. So even if you're buying him in fantasy, you're buying him for really weeks 2 and beyond anyway. So I wouldn't worry about it. Texas Tejano, we are doing fantasy football questions. Great to see you. Texas Tejano, I know you were a subscriber last year. Make sure you subscribe again this year because we will be doing subscriber-only shows. So if you want the personal attention on your fantasy football team, make sure you get in on that. Ethan, is Metcalf going to be good? Always. Metcalf's in a contract year. I think that benefits him. Additionally, I just like him in this offense. He's the clear wide receiver 1. Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to be coming up as that wide receiver 2 as Lockett begins to fade more and more. The running game is solid enough, so people aren't going to necessarily just focus on the passing game. I think DK Metcalf continues to have a good year. I think he's worthy of a wide receiver 1 spot, but really, if you could somehow have him as a wide receiver 2, you are really in great shape. Josh, if you like the shirt, go to our website, buttfumblesports.com. This and other shirts just like it up on the website, buttfumblesports.com. Do you like Bobby J. Lindor Burger to get 2 bases? So, Bobby J., did you mean Bobby Witt Jr., I'm assuming? Yes. So, I don't know about Lindor. Burger has been incredibly hot and has a good matchup today. Bobby Witt Jr., again, probably the best over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs, or over one of the best over 1.5 bases plays in all of baseball, so I like that. Lindor, don't like it as much maybe. I like it, but I don't love it. That said, you're probably that's a same game parlay as Burger, so depending on the sports book, you're probably not going to be able to get it on most of the tickets all at the same time, so just something to consider. Elijah, thoughts on James Conner? Great question. I think James Conner is a really solid RB2 or RB3, someone that you can put in the flex if you like his matchups. He always seems to be more dependable and actually more productive than people expect. I think he continues to be a good sleeper. And as that Arizona passing offense continues to develop with the addition of Marvin Harrison Jr., I think that he's going to benefit from it. Here's my only caution. Age, and Kyler Murray is going to run the ball more with his health, so I do think that ultimately impacts things. If you guys want sports betting research, we can do that. If you want fantasy football questions answered, we can do that. Entirely up to you. Which Bears players to target? This is one that I don't think people are talking enough about. Keep your eye on DeAndre Swift. Really impressed by what I saw in the preseason games. Obviously, he kind of disappointed in Philly, but there are reasons behind that. I think he comes into a really good situation in Chicago. If you're looking for a running back who's going to fall a bit because he is in the brand name and he's in an offense that's going to be more passing focused, I think DeAndre Swift is a really nice pickup. And again, 6th, 7th round. I don't think he goes much farther beyond that. But I think DeAndre Swift is a really solid play. I would like him as an RB3. Again, that substitute. You could swap him in for a bye week. You can make him a flex. That's what I would like it to be if I could. I don't know. I've been killing plate appearance live bets. Interesting. I've never even bet those. That's interesting. I don't know. John, who should I take at 3 if Hill and CMC are gone? Breece Hall. Breece Hall. Breece Hall. Breece Hall's the one at number 3. More and more, I think Breece Hall's worthy of a top 2 pick. For me, it's between CeeDee Lamb and Breece Hall. I don't really... If Hill and CMC are gone, you could take Breece Hall or CeeDee Lamb, but those are the two really that should be going 1-2. I think Tyreek Hill and Christian McCaffrey's value is very much a reflection on what they did last year and not the production we should expect from them this year. We do this a lot. We do this with stocks. We do this with teams. We do this with players. We do this in society. We expect past performance to be a reflection on future performance. It's really not. Usually you don't just get peaks consistently and valleys consistently. There's a rise, there's a dip. I think Lamb and CMC are both due for the dip as opposed to sustaining that incredible level of production. I'm seeing we have someone who wants to be a caller. I'll throw up the speaker so we can actually take some callers on this Sunday morning because I love talking sports with all of you. Let's take Garrett's call. Let's see what Garrett wants to talk about. Garrett, what's good? Garrett, you with us?
How we doing? It's fantasy season.
You know it, dog. How you living?
We're living good, brother. I just had one main question, really, is I was wanting to get some thoughts and views on Xavier Worthy. How do you think he's going to be this year?
Love Xavier Worthy. First of all, we're already seeing that explosive speed is real. It wasn't just like combine hype. Like, he legitimately on the field can beat any defender put in front of him. Patrick Mahomes also, he is the kind of quarterback who can overthrow almost every receiver, so having that kind of speed demon, like, I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about him not getting the ball, even though he beats a defender. Maybe the best thing that actually happened for Xavier Worthy over the last week is Hollywood Brown got hurt. And as Hollywood Brown's value goes down, Xavier Worthy's goes up. Rashee Rice is going to be wide receiver 1 on this team. I'm not worried about that in the least. But that said, Xavier Worthy is absolutely worth a draft pick. It's just about where he falls. If you're in an auction draft, he's definitely worth waiting on and then bidding late and trying to get him for like $3 to $5 if you're in that situation. In a snake draft, really, I feel like he's going to fall to around round 10. You know, I really think it's about what kind of league are you in. Are you in a league that likes to draft rookies? Are you in a league that has Chiefs fans? Things like that. I love rookie wide receivers. So I tend to reach on them maybe 1 round early so I don't get robbed of them. But he is a great pick, Garrett. I'd absolutely have on my draft list.
Okay, good deal. And obviously, besides Christian McCaffrey, what running backs are you looking at this year to go pretty early?
Breece Hall is probably number 1 and a clear-cut number 1. I still think Bijan is worthy of a high first round. I'm hearing rumors that Tyler Algier will remain a very large part of the Falcons offense, especially in the red zone. Concerns me a little bit, but not enough to take away that first round ranking for Bijan Robinson. Kyren Williams is absolutely deserving of it. A lot of people are having him fall to a second round. I really don't know why. I think he's worthy of a late first round pick. The player I actually probably think I will end up drafting in a majority of my leagues because I don't expect to in a snake draft go within the first 3 picks. So I'll probably be drafting later on. It's Jonathan Taylor. I think Jonathan Taylor has proven himself over the last few years. He's healthy. This is probably the best overall team he's had around him in his career, and they're still going to rely on the running game to really set up everything around Anthony Richardson. So Jonathan Taylor in the late first is someone I really like, along with Kyron Williams, Bijan Robinson, and Breece Hall. Those are probably my top 4 running backs right now, outside of Christian McCaffrey. Saquon's on the fringes of that. Jamar Gibbs is on the fringes of that. But those are the ones that really stand out right now.
Okay, good deal. One more question, I'll let you get back to doing your thing. Now, tight ends, I've always loved T.J. Hawkinson. He's always been my guy, but I know he's coming off his ACL, and I don't know what's going to happen there. But any tight ends that you like to see this year and that you got your eyes on?
So the tight end class is really interesting this year in that there is a clear-cut group that is like, these are the best tight ends or competing for the best tight ends. Then there's a tier right below that that's like, look out. These guys could be the future, and they may shock you in how quickly they emerge. So, interesting spot. And then you have this kind of other tier that I'll just kind of hit on, which are the guys who are falling, the guys who are kind of coming out of favor. Unfortunately, I think T.J. Hawkinson's in that out of favor category. I'm in a little concerned Mark Andrews could be falling into that category a little bit more. I don't think he's in the same state as T.J. Hawkinson. But what's Isaiah likely going to be in that offense? Where are the Ravens going to go with Derrick Henry now being involved more? Is Mark Andrews going to be asked to block more as the tight end as opposed to being that receiving tight end in the kind of traditional Lamar offense that we've seen? However, to get back to what I was first saying, the clear-cut top tight ends to go after right now, Trey McBride. Trey McBride is elite. He is... I think the addition of Marvin Harrison Jr. helps him as much as any addition in an offense helps a tight end in the league. Dalton Kincaid, ironically the reverse. The loss of Stephon Diggs for the Bills means Dalton Kincaid's value skyrockets. Those two, keep your eye on him. But there's probably no tight end in the league I like more this year than Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta is going to play all but 3 games in a dome or on turf. We've talked about this before. The Lions only play 3 outdoor games all season. I believe it's in Green Bay, in Chicago, and then they have a game out west in San Francisco. That's it. Other than that, they are perfect passing conditions. That offense is more and more going to be structured around him and Amon-Ra St. Brown in the passing game, because the running game might have some questions with Jahmyr Gibbs. We'll talk about that later in the show. But the top tight ends to me, Travis Kelce's an obvious number 1. Like, I don't even need to bring him up. But Sam Laporta, Dalton Kincaid, Trey McBride, these are the top tight ends. I think Mark Andrews' value is falling. I think T.J. Hawkinson's value is falling. I think, and outside of that, what's Brock Bowers going to be? I don't understand Brock Bowers because the Raiders drafted Mayer in the draft the previous year. So, like, you drafted a tight end early in the past 2 drafts. Is that going to cannibalize the production that Brock Bowers could have this year as a rookie? That concerns me. Dalton Schultz, I really like him. I liked him last year, but a lot of mouths to feed in that Texans offense. Is he going to get the kind of targets that he did last year? I doubt it. So his value kind of wanes. I like him, but Gerald Everett, I really like him, but the weapons on the outside aren't the same, so you would expect opposing defenses will focus on him more and take him away more often. So even though he's someone I like, he's in that category again of last year's value probably doesn't represent this year's ultimate production. So that's how I break down the tight end position. One guy I should have mentioned that I didn't, David Njoku. For whatever reason, David Njoku is like one of the most consistent players in fantasy. It just doesn't get talked about. I think it's because it's the Browns. But I don't care if it's Joe Flacco throwing him the ball, Deshaun Watson. David Njoku is always worth it. I think more and more he ends up being like a backup tight end to some people. But if you're just going to be like, I don't care about tight end until the final 3 rounds or 4 rounds of a draft, you can still probably get David Njoku. The one tight end I haven't mentioned in all of this is Kyle Pitts. I was the biggest Kyle Pitts fan when he came out of college. I believed in Kyle Pitts like nobody else, and yet I have been burned too many times. He's finally probably in the perfect situation with Kirk Cousins. I still value him as a receiving tight end, but I'm a little scorned by his past production for me when I have drafted him. So I like him. This is probably going to be the year he breaks out because I'm doubting him a little bit. But that said, there are other tight ends that I probably like more.
Okay, what do you think about Jake Ferguson then? Where would you kind of put him at?
So Jake Ferguson's a great example of if you aren't willing to invest in a tight end, like I said, in those top four, if you're not willing to invest in the Kelseys, Laportas, Dalton Kincaids, Trey McBrides, Mark Andrews, if you're not going to invest in that top group, we haven't mentioned George Kittle, like if you're not investing in that kind of group, I think Jake Ferguson's like a great discount. You could wait on him. You could draft him later on. I kind of like that strategy. He's going to be really important in the Cowboys offense. They don't have as many weapons at the receiver position as people think. Brandon Cooks is just like, he's just pure speed. CeeDee Lamb's going to get double coverage. What does that really open up? It opens up the tight end in the seam. So you expect Jake Ferguson to get more targets, get more production. In the red zone, he could be incredibly valuable and important for the Cowboys. So I really like him, and you can devote some earlier rounds maybe to tight end or wide receiver. Again, maybe more valuable positions. But for tight end later in a draft, I think Jake Ferguson's a great pick.
Good deal. Well, I guess I'll let you get back to doing your show. I'll keep watching, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
Oh, thanks for joining the show. You're welcome anytime.
All right. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Have a good one. If you guys want to join the show, feel free to hit us up on TikTok. We're taking questions all about it. Jordan, I'm starting my $100 snake draft tonight. 9th pick out of 12. Who would you target for the first 2 picks? 2 running backs. If Kyren Williams falls to that 9th pick, for me it's really between Kyren Williams and Jonathan Taylor for that 9th pick right there. I really like it. If for some reason there was a run on running back early before your 9th pick, maybe Amon-Ra St. Brown would be my first wide receiver, because if there's a run on running back, you would expect he would fall. But in the first 2 rounds, I'd like to go running back, a Kyren Williams, a Jonathan Taylor, a Kyren Williams, get one of the 2 in the first round, maybe a Saquon in the second. That's what I'd like to do. Texas Tejano, thanks for resubscribing. Welcome back to the community. Great to have you. We got Jose hitting us up. Jose wants to join the show as a guest. Let's see what Jose wants to talk about. Jose, what's good?
How you doing?
I'm loving life. How you doing, Jose?
Good. I was wondering what was your thoughts on the Judon trade?
Love it. Love it for both sides. Thought the trade was perfect. Rarely do you see a trade in the preseason where you feel like it's a good trade for both teams. So often it's like, oh, they got a 6th round pick. Like, great. Like, that's not going to make a substantial difference to the team that was selling the player. But I thought the Patriots got great value. A 3rd round pick is a real value, especially with how the draft is now. I personally think the draft is better. I think most draft classes, there's such depth overall because the quality of athlete is better now than it was 20 years ago. So I think there are more quality picks in the 3rd round than there were years ago. In that stupid way of like people say 70's the new 60, I feel like the 3rd round is the new 2nd round. So great value there for the Patriots. Love that they moved on from a disgruntled player who they obviously weren't going to re-sign. And they're just getting a player who now is on a rookie contract for 3 years and should be a good player. On the other side, the Falcons. Is there any team who did a better job in the offseason, maybe outside of like the Bears? The Falcons, they got their franchise quarterback and they got their backup. People scoffed at it. People are now looking at the New York Giants like, man, Michael Penix Jr. would have made a lot of sense. They add to a defense, not by drafting there, but by buying solid veterans. It started with Jesse Bates a year ago. Now they add Justin Simmons. They add Judon. This is how you build a defense overnight. And all of a sudden, the Falcons look like not only the best team in the NFC South, I would challenge they're a top 5 team, at least on paper, in the NFC. So I love the trade now. Now, Matthew Judon, unfortunately, is known for having phenomenal starts to a year and then really slowing in the back half. Maybe that's helped by playing in a dome. Maybe that's helped by playing lesser competition like the Panthers, like potentially the Bucks, like potentially the Saints. Those teams at best are going to be around 500, so maybe he plays a little bit better. But overall, I thought this was a great trade, and if nothing else, if Matthew Judon is best in the first 6 to 8 weeks of a season, the Falcons need a good start maybe more than any other team in football. Because if they get off to a good start, the belief around that squad goes way up. And I think even there, they behave differently. If they suffer, if Kirk Cousins gets hurt, if they lose early on, I think all of a sudden that division is wide open because no team in that division is so solid that if you can get away with a bad start, you can both keep up, and yet at the same time the Falcons want to take a stranglehold of it. So love the trade, thought it was a good move for both parties.
Right on. I agree with you. I really like what the Falcons did. And they do have Penix if Cousins doesn't come off the injury the way it should. Obviously, that's not what they want to do. I think they smell some weakness in the NFC South. And like you said, if they get off to a good start, they could be pulling away from that division pretty early.
And pulling away from the division could just be 2 games. But in that division,
Right.
2 games could feel like a lot.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I completely agree. What do you think of the Dolphins this year?
I know you're a Dolphins fan. I thought the Dolphins took a massive step back. And their offensive line is worse than it was last year. Their defense is worse than it was last year. And those are 2 areas that I already had questions. I know this team is fast. That's what this team is. This team is an Olympic track team. They are fun to play in Madden. I don't think they can win against the Chiefs. I don't think they can win against the Jets defense if the Jets have a legit quarterback. I have questions whether they can beat the Bengals, though the Bengals have some issues on defense. So I just think the AFC is harder this year. I think the Dolphins had a better chance last year than they did this year. And I think the Dolphins, the injuries down the stretch last year will be the great what if in Miami football history, at least for a little while. Because the Chiefs weren't as good last year. The Bills weren't as good last year. The AFC East was wide open. So the Dolphins kind of missed their opportunity to win the division, get some home playoff games, and have a chance at a Super Bowl. And I'm not going to say their window's closed by any means, but things get harder again. And I do think it's going to backfire on them for paying certain guys. Like you pay your quarterback and you pay wide receivers. There aren't too many teams that win Super Bowls with that formula. They usually get to Super Bowls with those players, but then those players ask for contracts, and once they get paid, they usually don't get back because it jeopardizes the team's ability to pay other positions. You look at Patrick Mahomes, that's not the case. He's taking discounted deals. Tua, I think, got over. I don't think Tua's worth it. I'm not a Tua guy. I don't believe he's going to win a Super Bowl for the Miami Dolphins. And so now you're anchored by that contract. So anyways, that's my take on the Dolphins. I do think they're going to be fighting for a wild card spot, but I think the Jets are going to win the division.
The Jets?
Really? I think the Jets are arguably the best defense in the NFL. The Browns and the 49ers have obviously a reason to fight for that, but I think the Jets have a real claim on that. They drafted the reason they weren't drafting offensive linemen there for a bunch of years is because they were drafting defensive pass rushers. All of those pass rushers are still on the squad. Now they've just added more offensive line help. If Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, they've got not good. They've got some great wide receivers. Garrett Wilson is great. Mike Williams, when healthy, is great. They've got a Breece Hall. He is great. Like, I'm about the Jets. So if they stay healthy, I think the Jets are one of the few teams that could beat the Chiefs in the playoffs in Kansas City.
Wow.
Because they have a secondary that can do it. Sauce Gardner can take away any wide receiver. So you put Sauce Gardner on Rashee Rice, or maybe it's Xavier Worthy at that time. You double coverage. You put Quincy Williams on Travis Kelce, one of the best coverage linebackers in the NFL, and you can develop a pass rush without blitzing. I think the Jets on paper are one of the best teams in the NFL. Obviously, the Jets are going to Jets, so how do things go wrong? I can't wait to find out. That's the beauty of the season. But I think the Jets are a real threat. And so back to your point, I think the Miami Dolphins are in a bad spot because I think their hope is high. I actually think the reality of the situation is far worse. So,
I would like to disagree with you, but I can't. I wasn't big on paying Tua either. I thought that they could have held off. I felt like Mike McDaniel's gone to bat for him a lot, and he's a good guy, so it's hard not to. But when it comes to making business decisions, I thought that hurt. With the wide receivers getting paid, and obviously Tyreek Hill being noisy, they had to redo his contract, and it does leave them short on some fronts. I also don't know, like you said, building speed is not necessarily the formula to winning winter football. We saw them struggle in the cold, and those teams that are good play outdoors, and they're gonna have to go to a ball.
I hate putting it this way, but the last team I saw that was, I don't know, because maybe the Chiefs in there. There's probably one I'm forgetting. But the last team I think of that was like pure speed that won were the greatest team on turf, the Rams. The greatest show on turf, the Rams. And that was helped by a couple of factors. One, the NFC was weaker at that time. And two, you were playing in a dome. And I think even if I just don't believe that the Dolphins, I'm with you. I don't think speed can win long term. I think speed can win a game. I don't think speed can win a season. So I have my doubts about how the Dolphins are building their entire squad.
Right on, man. Well, I'll let you get back. Thanks for taking some questions from me.
Jose, you know you're one of the best. Miss you, buddy.
Yep.
Hope you guys are doing well. If you guys want to join the show as a guest, feel free to hit us up on TikTok. More than happy to have you guys come on. Going to be taking some questions as well. Of course, hit the subscribe button if you're watching on TikTok or on YouTube. We will be doing subscriber-only shows throughout the course of the season to help you guys out with your teams. 10-team half PPR league asked Toby J in a $200 budget, would you keep CeeDee Lamb for $43? Yes, I would. At $43, it's good value. In a lot of leagues, he's going for well above $55 in auction drafts. Toby, that actually is a savings there. I know it sounds crazy, but at $43, you're actually saving up to from $15 to $30. So for those that don't do auction drafts, I feel for you because like auction drafts are the best thing ever. But if you do them, that's good value for Toby. Terrence, thoughts on Courtland Sutton in late rounds? Let's put it this way. If you're going to do it, I don't think it's a terrible idea in late rounds, but I wouldn't build my wide receiver room with him as a wide receiver 2. It would be more of a lottery pick play. I will not draft a Denver Bronco. That is a rule that I'm making for myself. I usually come up with a series of rules. Whenever I do, stock trading, sports betting, fantasy football, I list out, teams I like or players I like, stocks I like. But I also, on the side, come up with a series of rules where it's like, I will not break this rule. I won't break this rule because I know if I break it, it will burn me. I will not draft a Denver Bronco. I don't care who it is. I don't care how someone tries to convince me that there's value there. I will not draft a Denver Bronco. Put that on the 10 Commandments of this year's fantasy football season. Texas Tejano, thanks so much for subscribing. I'm taking Lamb at 1-1 overall. Who should I take at 2-10 and at 3 at that turn? I personally would try to double up on running backs if you could, because if you're waiting till the 4th round to get your second running back, you're waiting a long time, and since you just claimed the number 1 wide receiver, you're in a pretty good spot there. Your wide receiver 2 is going to be a still pretty good value play, so I would definitely say try to get 2 running backs. Who's probably going to be available there? If Isaiah Pacheco is available, I think that's a really solid pick. Isaiah Pacheco would be one of them. If Derrick Henry and Isaiah Pacheco were there, I'm not huge on Derrick Henry, but as your running back 2, it would make more sense. Isaiah Pacheco for sure would be one that I'd like to go with. Kyron Williams won't be there by that time. DeAndre Swift, it's too early to go on him, though. I feel like that's 1 round too early. The problem is in that loop around from round 3 to round 4, he may go in that time. But I would love Pacheco and DeAndre Swift as a combo, to be honest with you. I'm not as high on Kenneth Walker III. He would be there, but I'm not as high on him. Some people would say Achan. I'm not as high on him. That's another one. Pacheco and Achan would be an interesting combo. Don't have enough faith in it, though. Again, Pacheco would be the one I would definitely lock in there because I think he will be available at that spot. Interesting. It's tough because that 3rd round pick, the problem is you're not getting as much value out of that running back that you should, given who will be available on the board. If you did take the best wide receiver available, I get it. Just know your running back too is not going to be as good. What confidence on Henry and Lamar Jackson? So my confidence is less on Henry for a couple reasons. He's not the bell cow like he was in Tennessee. Value comes down. Lamar Jackson runs the football. Value comes down for Henry compared to like a Will Levis. Additionally, you got to think that Baltimore offense, they're going to incorporate some things for Henry, but they still want to do some things that are designed for Lamar Jackson and spreading out defenses in that passing way. So that negatively impacts Derrick Henry sometimes. Overall, the defenses are harder too. Derrick Henry, he's older, and he's facing the Steelers twice a year, the Browns twice a year. So those are two of the top, I think, 5 defenses in the NFL. So that's why I'm lesser on Henry. Keegan, thanks so much for resubscribing. Great to see so many familiar faces resubscribing. We will do subscriber-only shows throughout the season. So great to have some familiar faces rejoining us. Thoughts on Michael Pittman? I'm really high on Michael Pittman. I'm hearing some people who are saying he's not a true wide receiver 1, that he's a wide receiver 2, and that's his ceiling. I don't think so. I think he can be a wide receiver 1. I'm high on him. I think the targets will be there. Do I think he's going to have as many monster days? No. I don't think Michael Pittman Jr. is the kind of player who has a 35-point, 30-point game, and it's like, yeah, he single-handedly won me my week. But I think Michael Pittman Jr. at the end of the year will be a top 10 fantasy wide receiver. I think he's worthy of a first-round pick. Not a first-round pick, but a wide receiver 1 slot. So I'm pretty high on him. Carter Newman, we will be doing some drafts. Let's say we do a draft at 12:30 at 12, everybody. We'll do a draft. We will do a draft today at 12:30. I keep saying 12:30. I meant 12. We'll do a draft at 12. So let me open a league right now. But we're going to wait on to start the league. We'll make this a 10-team league. We'll make it a 10-team PPR. This is BFS 15, our 15th draft that we will have started. This is a season-long league, $0 buy-in, everybody. $0 buy-in, so no league fees. If you want to participate, DM me on Instagram right now, everybody. DM me on Instagram if you want to participate in this league. Butt Fumble Sports, we will be doing a live draft with you guys right now. This league, we're going to start at 12 o'clock, okay, everybody? This league is going to start at 12 o'clock, so you can get in on it now, or you can wait, but we're going to only do it in about 26 minutes, so we're not going to do it right away, but if you want to participate, DM me on Instagram, and I will share a link with you so you can get in on the league. J Dubs, thank you so much for resubscribing. It is so wonderful to see the familiar faces flock back to Butt Fumble Sports. Birds of a feather. Is Evans a wide receiver 1? No, he's a wide receiver. He's a wide receiver 1 on the Bucks depth chart. He's a wide receiver 2 on a fantasy team. I wouldn't want him to be carrying my wide receiver position. I don't think he's going to deliver enough value there. He's going to be a consistent wide receiver 2, not a wide receiver 1. If you want to participate in this draft, DM me on Instagram. Again, it's going to start in about 26. You know what? Screw that. When we fill it, we draft. Let's keep the same rules. When we fill it, we draft. Hey, how are you? What's up, DJ? What 2 should I start week 1? Garrett Wilson, Nico Collins, Kupp, Debo, Rice. So I haven't really started looking at week 1 starter sit yet. I will admit that. I haven't done that yet, and I'll probably wait to do that. I would say start Garrett Wilson, and I would probably start... You know what? I'm going to hold off. DJ, until we see everything, until we know injuries, I'm not going to make starter sit decisions right now. I feel like I would be giving false advice. That's calling the election before the convention. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait. Jen J. Cruz. I have Puka and Kyron. Trade one away in a dynasty league. I'm okay keeping both, but just know one of them will regress, if not both. I think Puka is going to be the one to regress. I might actually be willing to trade him. But Kyron Williams, I certainly wouldn't trade away. I think his value is there. Start Adams or Achane at the flex over the course of the season. If it's week 1, come back in a couple weeks, Brian. Just because, again, I want to wait. For example, do we know Gardner Minshew's the starting quarterback for the Raiders? Probably. Do we know what the splits are going to be? Do we know Achan's the firm RB1 in the Dolphins room? Probably, but there are just a few things that I want to wait on before we put together our week 1 starter sit plays. If you want to participate in a fantasy football draft against Butt Fumble Sports, it's a season-long league. DM me on Instagram right now if you want to participate. Butt Fumble Sports, DM me on Instagram. So if you want to get in on this league, DM me on Instagram right now to participate. Braden, I'm messing around with some friends in an 8-man league and got Jamar Chase, St. Brown, and Devontae. I'm not as big on Devontae. Love, obviously, the other two, but I'm not big on Devontae Adams this year. Frank, RB1, the number 1 at each position is what he's asking me. Okay. At running back, I feel like it's going to be Breece Hall, Kyron Williams, or Bijan Robinson. For the moment, I'll say Breece Hall. At wide receiver 1, I'll say Amon-Ra St. Brown. At tight end 1, I'll say Sam Laporta. It's close between Kincaid and Trey McBride, but I'll say Sam Laporta. At number 1 defense, I'll say the New York Jets. And at kicker, I'll say Harrison Butker, just to piss people off. I don't know. At kicker, I think Kim could be could be a really good kicker. Archie 9 in a PPR league where running backs get taken early. How do you feel about Alvin Kamara in the third from 1.03? As in the third spot of the third round? I don't love it, but it's okay. I get it. If there's a run-on running back, Alvin Kamara is a decent running back number 2 to have on your squad. But I'm not going to be over the moon about it. I think it's okay, but I'm not going to be quick to praise it. Zero problem worry about CD right now. Yeah, Cards, I'm not worried about it. If he was injured, I'd be worried. He's not injured. He's in a contract holdout. I'm sure he's fine. Not overly concerned about it. Not something that's going to keep me away from drafting him. If you want to participate in this fantasy football league with us, DM me on Instagram. It's going to be a 10-team league. I'm staying away from anyone on the Saints. Interesting you say that. There are a couple of Saints that I actually believe in. Alvin Kamara is maybe one of the two. The other one, Chris Olave. I believe in Chris Olave. Chris Olave is real. So as much as people overlook him, I believe in him. Rashid Shaheed's also an interesting one. Rashid Shaheed kind of had an interesting year last year. A lot of speed, downfield threat. Just someone to keep an eye on. Rob, full PPR 10-team league. Who would you take at 7th? If Bijan is there, I would take Bijan. Breece Hall, Bijan, and if those two aren't there, I might actually be willing to take Amon-Ra St. Brown at 7th. Now, I understand Jamar Chase will be there. I think I'd still take Amon-Ra St. Brown, as crazy as that sounds. Worthy looking great in the preseason, could be a great late-round steal. Cook, I completely agree with you. Carter Newman, I don't think as many people want to participate in this draft today, buddy. Jake Bailey hit me up. If you guys want to get in on this fantasy football draft, we are going to do a 10-team draft, live draft right now. If you want to participate, DM me on Instagram. Ryan, 10-man PPR drafted at 10. AR 15, JT, Achan, CD, Waddle, Ingram. You're a little overloaded on the Dolphins offense for me, but overall, strong team. I'd give it a B. B+ at best. Diego, what's good? Here's a link for the league, Diego. Thanks for hitting us up. If you want to participate, get in on it now. Love in the last or Gibbs in the third? Gibbs in the third. Frank, hit us up. Would love to have you join in the league right now. 21 pilots. What's good? Wants to participate in the league? There you go. You just got the link. You can get in on this league right now. Ryan wants to get in. There you go, Ryan. Jackson, 10-man PPR. It's free to play. So if you guys want to participate, free to play. DM me on Instagram to get in on the action. It's a free league to get involved in. Breece Hall or Marvin Harrison Jr. in a 3-year keeper league? Great question. I'd go Marvin Harrison Jr. The only reason I say that, Breece Hall already has a serious injury in his history. So just the risk of injury over the next 3 years, does Breece Hall probably see the end of those 3 years? It's kind of, I love the league, Angel, because it's truly like real football in that I have to evaluate the longevity of the player, not just the short-term value. If it was just for this year, I'd say Breece Hall. But for the 3-year in a keeper league, it's Marvin Harrison Jr. Cool question. Thanks for hitting us up about it. By the way, Olivia, thanks for hitting us up. Olivia, there you go. Just sent you a link so you can participate in our fantasy league right now. We'll draft once we fill up the spots. Horry Karras, at pick 10 in a 10-man league, would you take Brown, Barkley, or others available, Gibbs, Wilson? I'm not about A.J. Brown. I'd probably take Barkley and Gibbs, or Barkley and Wilson. But yeah, I'm not as big on A.J. Brown as others are. Rick is asking about the New York Mets really quick. 21 Pilots hit the link. It should take you, it should be pretty self-explanatory. Let's take a look at the Mets really quick. We're looking up some research for the folks out there that are watching. The Mets are playing a day game at home today. When the Mets have played a day game at home so far this year, losing record 11-20 day games at home, 7-24 on the run line. When they are a home favorite in a day game, they are 6-16 on the run line. 6-16 on the run line. So be very aware of that. Now, when they've played into a division opponent, day game, home favorite, 2-2. How about last game of a series? Home favorite in a day game, 3-8 on the run line. 3-8 on the run line. Now, let's take a look at the Marlins. Marlins, following an away loss on the under, they actually have a winning record on the run line. They're 11-9 on the run line when they're an away dog under this situation. 10-7 when it's a day game following an away loss under. 4-2 on the run line. Personally, I see a lot of value right now on the Marlins plus 1.5. I'm not going to push that too much, though. Let's take a look at Paul Blackburn. When he is a home favorite in a day game, 4-2 straight up, 3-3 on the run line. Just curious, he's never had it when he's a home favorite and in general. 8-4 straight up when he's following a win. 4-0. So I think there's reason to believe the Mets on the money line is a strong play, but Marlins plus 1.5 has value. So I'd say Mets money line, Marlins plus 1.5. That's where I come down on that one. Thanks for the question, Rick. Booty, Scary Terry, Kincaid, and a fourth for Amon-Ra St. Brown. No, you're giving up too much value. I like Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I think Terry McLaurin's going to be really valuable. I think Kincaid's valuable. I think you're giving up a little bit too much. Maybe it's the fourth that's throwing me off. Scary Terry and Kincaid, maybe I'd make that trade. Like, you're giving up one thing too many. Diego, I'd rather go St. Brown than Garrett Wilson, personally. Part of that has to do with the teams around them, so. J-Dubs, if you have an early pick in round 1, do you stick with a running back strategy or grab a wide receiver? I'm sticking with running back. No matter what, I'm sticking with running back. The earlier I am, the better I feel because I just get to get the running back I really want. Jay, I believe in my running back strategy. The teams that own the number 1 running back win a majority of fantasy leagues. That is a fact. That's not me bullshitting. That's not my opinion. That is a fact. If you own the number 1 running back, the likelihood that you win the league is significantly higher. So I'd rather invest at the best player at the best position over everything else, and I'd rather double down on that. So the reason I go running back in round 1 and running back in round 2 is that I'm now doubling my chances. I'm buying 2 valuable picks, 2 lottery picks of similar value. So that's why I treat it that way. Anthony, thoughts on Neighbors? I feel the way I did now that I did when he was first drafted. Malik Neighbors is a superstar. Malik Neighbors is going to be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, but not with Daniel Jones as his quarterback. Until the New York Giants get someone else at quarterback, I simply will not draft Malik Neighbors. I've had the opportunity to in a number of drafts. I love drafting rookie wide receivers. He would normally fall under my must draft category. I can't believe in him because Daniel Jones sucks. He's bad at football. He's bad at his job. I just don't want to draft a wide receiver that's reliant on him as the quarterback. So that's my stance on it, but I think Malik Neighbors is a stud. Appreciate you guys being with us. If you guys want to participate in this fantasy football league, make sure you DM me right now. 6 slots have been filled, 4 spots to go. This is a season-long league. If you want to participate in it, DM me on Instagram right now. Butt Fumble Sports on Instagram. That's Butt Fumble Sports, like the famous Mark Sanchez play, though we own the name Butt Fumble Sports. Make sure you DM me on Instagram. Jacobs or DK? Ooh, close. You know, when the preseason, a couple weeks ago, I would have said Jacobs. If you're going running back strategy, I'd go Jacobs. Who do I think actually puts up more points? I think it might be DK. Sleeper defenses. Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers have a really good defense, not getting enough attention. Browns, Jets, 49ers are the obvious ones. Pittsburgh Steelers are up there. You want a sleeper defense? The Houston Texans. The Houston Texans have pass rushers. The Houston Texans have guys in the linebacking room and in the secondary who can make plays when it comes to interceptions. The Houston Texans, look out for that defense. And they're playing in a division where they play some teams that could easily poop the bed, depending on how things go. Spice, rank Achane, Devontae Adams, and Marvin Harrison Jr. I'll actually say Marvin Harrison Jr. 1, Devontae Adams 2. I'll say Achane 3. I've got the most questions around him. Keeping Brees at 5th round pick. Who should I pick at 3? I'd go CeeDee Lamb. Joby, I'd go CeeDee Lamb because you already have your running back in Brees Hall. Love the question. Building a really solid team. Ayuk, Pittman, or Olave? Great question. I think Ayuk's value is still high because he's on the 49ers, and I think that benefits him. I'll say Pittman 1. This is tough. I'll say Pittman 1, Olave... I'll say Pittman 1, Olave 2, Ayuk 3, but I think they are so close. I think they are going to... The difference between them could be like 10 points at the end of the year. Is Brian Thomas a wide receiver 1 for the Jags? Ernest. Shh. Don't tell anyone, Ernest. Don't let word get out. Brian Thomas Jr. is a stud. He is one of the least talked about rookies in the league right now. People aren't bringing him up. Shh. Don't say anything. Don't let the word get out. Brian Thomas is a steal. Christian Kirk may be wide receiver 1, but not for long. Keep your eye on Brian Thomas Jr. I absolutely believe that he is going to be a fantasy sleeper stud this year. But don't let the word get out. Keep it between us, everybody. Keep it between us. What is your opinion on waiting a long time for tight end and hoping for a McBride-type pick situation? So, Cards, you're not going to obviously get McBride this year. He's going to go early. But the answer is right strategy. Quarterback and tight end, you can wait on it. The difference between tight end number 4 and tight end number 8 isn't that substantial. So you should be able to wait and draft the tight end that you want later on. I think it's a really good idea. Unless a top-tier tight end falls a little bit and then you reach for it in the 6th round, I wouldn't draft a tight end too early. Plenty of good... And Njoku, Ferguson, plenty of tight ends you could take later on that'll have pretty good week-to-week value. What are your thoughts on Chase Brown, Shafty? I think Chase Brown's great late-round value. Great late-round value. Johnny, I have CMC, Bijan, and Achane on my team. You are loaded at running back, Johnny. I love it. Okay, I'm getting a question about Brian Thompson. Brian Thompson, the wide receiver on the Bills? Question mark? I'm Ron Burgundy? He's not who I'm drafting. If you guys want to participate in this fantasy football draft with us, DM me on Instagram, ButtFumbleSports. DM me on Instagram if you want to participate in this fantasy football draft. The moment we fill the league, we will draft. So DM me on Instagram if you want to participate. The moment we fill it, we will draft. So DM me on Instagram. We have 7 slots filled, 3 slots to go. Live league, $0 buy-in. The moment we fill it, we draft. So if you want to participate in this league, get in on it right now. I think we only have 2 slots left because one's about to be taken. So make sure you get in on the league right now, everybody. It's going to go fast. Cook, does Fields take over QB1 for Steelers, and when, if so? I think he eventually will. It won't be week 1, but at some point Russell Wilson will ultimately make a mistake that Tomlin just goes, okay, I got to go in a different direction. Who are you taking at 1 at second overall? Breece Hall or CeeDee Lamb? One of those 2 I will take at second overall. Breece Hall or CeeDee Lamb, they're going to. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you're watching on TikTok or YouTube, we will do subscriber-only shows for those that like personal attention, that don't want to wait around or just ask one question. If you want a lot of personal attention, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you are a member of this community. We will do subscriber-only shows on TikTok and on YouTube. So make sure that you are hitting that up and being a part of our community in that way. Opinion on an Eckler bounce back? I don't think so. He's already said he doesn't want to be a bell cow. The Commanders have Brian Robinson, and I think he's going to get plenty of carries. So I don't think Eckler's going to be a bounce back. I think he's got some value the longer he falls, or if he falls, but he's not someone I'm necessarily going to draft. Tank Dell, Devontae Smith, Malik Neighbors, rank them. I'd go Devontae Smith 1. I might go Malik Neighbors number 2 just because he will be wide receiver 1 on the team, so he'll get plenty of targets. And I'll put Tank Dell 3rd. I just think there are a lot of mouths to feed. A lot of mouths to feed in that Houston Texans offense. Yeah, Vince Ochoa. You mean Brian Thomas. Yeah, Brian Thomas is a stud. Shh. Don't let anyone know. Wide receiver of the Jaguars, he's going to be a stud. Duck you, keeper PPR league, and my team is garbage. Do I keep Evans, Pacheco, Cook, or Love? I'd keep Pacheco. Booty Balla. If I could get Kincaid, who should I try and get for Kittle? Huh? Okay, so if you can get Kincaid, who would you trade Kittle for? Maybe like some rookie wide receivers, maybe a wide receiver 2. I think you're probably going to end up getting someone who's more of a flex play. Uncle Ruckus, thoughts on Jamar Chase? I think he's going to be a top 10 wide receiver. I'm also really curious about how the Bengals season goes. Is Joe Burrow going to stay healthy? Is T. Higgins going to be healthy? Like, there's a lot of questions I have about this team, so I am a little bit concerned. But I still think he's a top 10 wide receiver. I'm not going to over-worry about it. We have just 1 spot left for our fantasy football draft. It's a 10-team. There it's filled. We're going to draft everybody. It almost got us to 12, so almost about the time I thought. So let's set up the draft. It's going to be a snake draft, 30 seconds. We will start at 12. So right as I thought, we'll start this draft in about 4 minutes, everybody, 4.5 minutes. The draft order has been randomized, so no worries about anyone cheating. And we will open up the draft room. We will start this draft in 4.5 minutes, everybody. How do you feel about Pickens? I think he is probably worth the draft pick in round 5 or 6, but I'm not going to personally reach for him. Jenny J. Cruz, how early do you take a QB or a tight end in a dynasty? Probably still around the same spot, which is no earlier than round 6. But probably closer to round 8. I would probably go tight end earlier. Quarterback, I feel like I could wait on quarterback and draft some players, so I certainly wouldn't reach. Love Brian Thomas, everybody. So the word's getting out. Unfortunately, I'm probably making too many people that I play against in leagues aware of it. But Brian Thomas is one of those rookie wide receivers that I have on my must-draft list. He is a stud. He is going to be a stud. The Jacksonville Jaguars have a lot of question marks on their team. But I think Brian Thomas, he could be the future wide receiver 1 on that squad. Spears or Pollard? I'll go Pollard for now, Cards. Cook, how about Lamar Mahomes to kick off the season prediction? First of all, it's going to be a phenomenal game. If I had to make a bet right now, I would take the Ravens at plus 3.5. Chiefs on the money line. Ravens plus 3.5. Chiefs on the money line. I like the Ravens to cover. Again, I want to be on the plus side of the field goal, so plus 3.5. It does mean that I'll probably have to absorb some of that money that I don't want to have to pay, but I'm willing to do it. So anyways, I do think the Ravens cover is probably the best bet of the game. That said, anytime touchdown, I'm already thinking about that. Pacheco, anytime touchdown, is definitely a player that I'm going to be betting in that first week. Pacheco, anytime touchdown, will probably have my first anytime touchdown bet of the year. Mike Williams, 1,300 yard season possibility, very low, very low. He's in an offense where he'll be wide receiver 2. I think the passing game will still be second to the running game. Aaron Rodgers, as much as he falls in love with one wide receiver, I think that'll probably be Garrett Wilson overall. So just a little bit of caution on that bet, that futures bet. By the way, random note, I hurt my back yesterday. I yanked it. Reminder for everybody who isn't getting older, and that means nobody, back injuries suck. I forgot how much back injuries are just when your back hurts. Brutal. Is DJ Moore finally going to show out? DJ Moore is going to have a great year, Cards. How do you like Josh Jacobs? I like him, but there are some reasons to get concerned about him over the last few weeks. How do you feel about Kittle and Javonte for Kyren and Brian Thomas? If I could get Kyren Williams and Brian Thomas, I'd be over the moon. Over the moon, Booty Bola. I would love that trade if I was getting Kyren and Brian Thomas. Cook, I am big on Zay Flowers this year. I was big on him last year. I actually think he might regress a little bit this year. I like him. I don't love him. Kyren or ETN? Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams. Jen J. Rome? What about, Rome Odunze? I didn't even think about it because I'm going to Rome in a few weeks and I was like, man, how did she know? I think Rome Odunze is probably worth a late round pick, but frankly, I don't like him as much. There's so many mouths to feed in that Bears offense. I like him, but I think his production might take a little bit of time. Cook, it's brutal, man. Brutal. Trey, if you like the shirt, go to buttfumblesports.com. The name of our company is Butt Fumble Sports. Go to buttfumblesports.com. We sell shirts just like this. Check this one out and others. buttfumblesports.com. Get yours today. Just traded Kenneth Walker and Ayuk for Nico and Kyren. It's not bad. I like it. When is the next live? I'll probably do a subscriber-only live tonight. We'll probably do a subscriber-only show tonight. Probably around 9 o'clock, 9 or 10 tonight, we'll do a subscriber-only show. So if you want personal attention, make sure you subscribe on TikTok, and that way you can join that show this evening. 14-team Keeper League. What do you think of the team? Hall, Evans, Monty, Laporta, Dak, Kirk, and Harris. Little overloaded on the Lions, but I don't mind it. I'd give it a B+. I actually think it's a pretty solid team. Okay, everyone, we are about to start our draft. We're doing a 10-team PPR draft, so we are starting this draft right now. So if you're in this league, get ready to go. We will start this draft in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the draft is underway. Ryan Powers is on the clock. So Ryan, get in on the draft, buddy. You are up first. Kike, would you go AK or ETN for the second? ETN. ETN over AK in the second round. Jose, thoughts on Pickens? Personally, not high on Pickens. I just don't love the quarterback situation in Pittsburgh. Reasons to not love it. Christian McCaffrey goes first overall. Bucks 19 on the clock. Where will he go? CeeDee Lamb? Tyreek Hill, Breece Hall, Justin Jefferson, Bellwood. Solid unfollow? Okay. Bellwood. Am in a league against dude. He been dodging my question for days. I see your question right now. I haven't seen your question, Bellwood. I haven't seen your question, so and unless you're like maybe you're putting in a word that we've accidentally banned, but I haven't seen your question, and I'm certainly not dodging it. I have no reason to dodge anybody's question. Like, I'm here for your questions. Yeah. Do you like Neighbors this year? I don't like Daniel Jones. So as much as I do like Neighbors, I'm not going to draft him this year. The moment the Giants get a quarterback, I will love him. Bellwood, rewrite the question in another way, okay? Because I'm certainly not dodging you. Why would I dodge you? Cook, I'm drafting late in first round. I'm staying away from CMC. Late in the first round, I wouldn't fade it. I would, if he fell to you, I would take it. I love the supporters of Butt Fumble Sports. You guys got my back. Rate my team: Richardson, Kamara, Zeke, Hill, Marvin Harrison Jr., Kincaid, JSN, Ravens, Kamara, Fairbairn. TC, you know what the problem is. You know your running backs are weak. You've got great wide receivers. TC 2312, you have great wide receivers. You already know you're in a bad spot in running back. By the way, speaking of running back, in the second round of this 10-man PPR league, 5 running backs have gone. 6 straight running backs have gone in this second round. A wide receiver started it, but then running back. So you guys clearly took the advice, went heavy on running back. That does help me. Garrett Wilson falls. One thing I would say is, if there's a run on a position, don't be afraid to take value. So there's a run on running back, great. I'll take Garrett Wilson. I'll take a wide receiver who should have gone early in the second round. He falls to me. So don't be afraid to take advantage of a player that falls in the draft. Mike, does Bo Nix start for Denver? I think eventually he will. Tristan Olson, Bellwood, go ahead and leave, bro. I got you. DC4L, what's your... I'm not seeing DC's question. How about this? Let's get some moderators. Usually we have subscribers as moderators, so if you could pin questions, that would help me. DC4L, thoughts on Jefferson? He kind of fits in that same category as Malik Neighbors a little bit. I don't trust Sam Darnold. I do think that Justin Jefferson's going to have a good year when healthy, but the Vikings are cursed. They have a ton of injuries. They have a bad quarterback room. I'm not drafting Justin Jefferson. I'll let other players, other fantasy owners draft him. I'll stick to my guns, and I'll draft players that I think are going to have good years. By the way, speaking of which, I just took Josh Jacobs as my first running back. I took CeeDee Lamb in the first round. I'm back. I went back-to-back wide receivers because wide receiver fell, but I took Josh Jacobs as my first running back. Don't love it. Rick, thank you for resubscribing. Welcome back to the crew. Ethan, Nico Collins, or Cooper Kupp. Between the two, tough. I might lean just slightly towards Cooper Kupp. Fewer mouths to feed in that offense, but it's very close. I'll go Kupp over Collins, but it is very close. Who will be Raiders starting quarterback? I think it's going to be Gardner Minshew, which gives me very little faith in that squad. By the way, if there's a run on a position in one round, there's usually going to be a run on another position in another round. So, in the first round, pretty balanced between running back and wide receiver in the draft we're doing right now. Then there was a run on running back. Then there was a run on wide receiver. Try to not follow the run. Try to break the run sometimes. Could be beneficial for you. Chase, Dynasty League, Love, Gibbs, Pacheco, Puka, Waddle, Komet, Kupp, Keenan. Love it, love it, love it. Really solid team. Really solid team. Callie Bourne, rate my team. Breece Hall, Pacheco, Achan, Hurts, Kupp, Ingram, Ridley. Weak at wide receiver. Weak at wide receiver. Love the running backs, but I might trade Achan to get help at wide receiver. Consider that. Maybe upgrading there. Gavin Saxon, 10-man. Lamar, Montgomery, Zamir, Jefferson, Puka. Okay, you're weak at running back as well. I trade Jefferson, and I try to upgrade at my running back position. Chase or Amon-Ra? I'd go Amon-Ra St. Brown, believe it or not. I think he's going to have the better year. What do you think about Brock Purdy or Tua as QB1 on my team? I think you could do either one. Personally, then, if I'm doing that, draft a second quarterback, and play them in tandem. My team's going to work out here. I didn't think so when I drafted back-to-back wide receivers in round 1 and round 2. Not usually the strategy I go with. Now that I'm looking at the board and looking how things played out, I'm doing okay. I'm going to draft DeAndre Swift. So my first 4 picks were CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson, Josh Jacobs, and DeAndre Swift. So I took care of my 2 running backs and my 2 wide receivers, just not in the order I usually do. How high should I draft Cooper Kupp? I think round 3 is too high. That's usually where he's going. I think he's really going to be a round 4 pick, but that's just me. Round 4 value, maybe I should say. Please, come on. Bucks 19. Don't draft the player I want. Bucks 19 has 2 running backs. He drafts DJ Moore. Perfect. I wanted another running back. I got David Montgomery. So I got my 3 running backs despite drafting wide receivers in round 1 and round 2. So I feel really good about that. Gavin, love Chubb as late round value. Yep, as a lottery pick, as a lottery ticket, worth it. Elijah Wright, 10-man, Stroud, Gibbs, JJ, Pittman, Ferguson, and Connor. It's a good team. It's a really good team. I like it so far, Elijah. I think it's really solid. Dom, 12-man Richardson, Etienne, James Cook, Kupp, Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, and Kittle. Little too much of the guys who were successful in the past. Don't know about this year. I think your running back room could actually be better than people think. I think your wide receiver room may disappoint you a little bit. I like your quarterback and your running back room maybe a little bit more than I like your wide receivers. Dom, right now I'd give it a B. I'd give it a B, Dom. Appreciate you guys being with us. Hope you guys have enjoyed the show. We've been live for about an hour and 10 minutes. Get ready for this to be our Sunday programming. I will be live every Sunday of the NFL season. I will be live usually at 10 a.m. every Sunday morning. 10 a.m. every Sunday morning. We will do 4 hours usually of NFL coverage. 10 a.m. to 11, 11 a.m. to 12, 12 to 1. Well, okay, 3 hours of NFL coverage. 3 hours, maybe even more if I get up early. But we will do 3 hours of NFL pregame, fantasy football talk, sports betting advice, helping you out with your start or your sit. We'll do subscriber-only shows throughout the weeks, but 3 hours every Sunday. So from 10 a.m. till kickoff, make sure you're with us on Sundays. Mason, rate my 10-man team. Purdy, Etienne, Pacheco, Mostert, Tyreek. Little loaded on the, I like the squad. Little loaded on the Dolphins. I would say overall it's a B+, Mason. Mason, I'd give it a B+. Appreciate you guys joining the show. Hope you guys are enjoying the content. What's the optimal amount of upside chasing? What's the optimal amount of upside chasing should a team have? Focus, can you explain your question? I'm a little confused. Can you explain that one? Uncle Ruckus, 10-man, Lamar, Henry, Kyron, Tyreek, Chase, Collins, and 49ers defense. Really solid, really solid. I'd obviously give this team an A-. Just an incredible team. Don't know how you were able to pull that off in a 10-man league. CMC or Lamb is 1 overall. I'd probably go Lamb at this point, believe it or not. So my starting lineup is set, everybody. Outside of kicker and defense, I've drafted my starting lineup. I am going Anthony Richardson at quarterback, Josh Jacobs, DeAndre Swift, and David Montgomery as my top 3 running backs. My wide receivers are CeeDee Lamb and Garrett Wilson right now, and my tight end is Kyle Pitts. Pretty good. Who should go first overall in fantasy? Either Breece Hall or CeeDee Lamb. Breece Hall or CeeDee Lamb. Daniel, I'd go CeeDee Lamb. Daniel Feldman, I'd go CeeDee Lamb. Do I like Jordan Love late? Yes, I do. Jordan Love is a good late-round quarterback. Keep your eye on Kyler Murray. A couple other late-round quarterbacks to consider are the rookies, Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels. They're showing more and more value as you're seeing more of their legs. If they can throw, great, but the value's in the running game. Cook was in a 10-man money league 2 years ago. The guy who won it all auto-drafted. You know, that happens in some leagues. That's like when you do March Madness and the person who like picks the bracket by their favorite mascot who wins. It happens. Jameen, I swear you've ignored my comment for the past 20 minutes. I swear I'm not doing it on purpose. But this is what I'd say. I bet there's a banned word. There are some people who are saying that their comments aren't being answered. I bet that's because I'm not seeing it. There are words that we might have accidentally banned. I'll fix that after the show. But the whole point is, make sure you guys are changing that. Like, change up your comment, your question. Ask it in a different way. Maybe that's why. But I can assure you, I am not looking at anyone's question and being like, I'm not going to answer that. I'm not ignoring you. So certainly don't take that impression. If you do, you're making something up in your mind because that's simply not the case. But rewrite it in another way. Uncle Ruckus, thoughts on Mark Andrews? I think Mark Andrews' value comes down. I think the Baltimore offense is going to adjust and evolve to match Derrick Henry's addition. I also think Isaiah Likely isn't going to go away, so he might be utilized more in this offense even with Mark Andrews back. Is Mark Andrews going to be asked to block more with Derrick Henry playing? It's something I've been asking a lot lately. So I think Mark Andrews, I think his value comes down a little bit compared to past years. Adam, 14-man league, QB1, QB2, I have the 14th. Who should I pick in the first round? Running back. Get your running back while you can. Bears look good. Chris, the Bears look really good. Something people aren't talking enough about, the Bears defense. Bears defense could be a good defense this year, not for fantasy purposes, but the Bears defense could end up being the second best defense in that division. If Caleb Williams can live up to the hype, Bears could absolutely be contending for a wild card spot. Do I think they will? Ultimately, I think they fall short, but I think the Bears have greater reason for belief now than at any point in their franchise history since 1990. It has been a long time since the Bears had reason to believe. They really should have reason to believe now. This is a really good team on paper. Locksmith, Laporta over Kelsey and Kittle, 100%. Are you scared for CeeDee Lamb? Not at all. Jamar Chase or Tyreek Hill at third overall? Probably Tyreek Hill. Poppy, Jared Goff thoughts in a 3-4 QB heavy league. Well, I like him in that kind of situation. Jared Goff is only going to play 3 road games this year in a dome, outside a dome. He will only play 3 games in weather. In San Francisco, in Green Bay, in Chicago. That's it. That's it all season. Jen J. Cruz, if Bears defense is good, does that cap their offense because of game script? No, I think it's going to be fine. Thoughts on Rome? I think Rome Odunze has some value as a late round draft pick in a fantasy draft, but overall, I think his value is kind of cannibalized a little bit by DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift. So many mouths to feed in that offense. Appreciate you guys watching the show. Hope you're loving the content and the conversation. Make sure you hit the follow button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're with us every time that we're live. It is such a joy to be able to talk sports with you guys every day. I hope you guys know it is the highlight of my day coming on here. We are going to be live every Sunday morning starting at 10 a.m. So from 10 a.m. till 1 p.m., the kickoff of games, we will be live every single Sunday of the season for fantasy advice, sports betting advice, everything you guys need. We will do subscriber-only shows on Saturday night. So if you want personal attention, if you want to know who to start and who to sit, and you don't have to go through the ocean of comments that come out on Sunday, subscribe on TikTok, join our subscriber-only shows. We'll do those. Usually we'll do our shows for everybody in the afternoon. We'll do our subscriber-only shows later at night. Subscriber-only shows, personal attention. We focus on your team, who you should pick up. We really get into what you guys need. And again, that just takes more time, and that's why we do it in a subscriber-only fashion. Thoughts on Rashee Rice? Very high on him. Think he's going to be the number one wide receiver on the Chiefs, and I just love that. Brandon, I won my league and they want me to be last pick and goes opposite order. I left, I was mad. You know, I don't get mad when league owners try to pull some shit on me, because my general attitude is, I'm going to win. You can do whatever you can to stop me, but I'm going to win. So, I'm okay. I wouldn't get too upset about it. Appreciate you guys being with us. Hope you're enjoying the content. HTX, if you want a shirt just like this, they're up on our website, buttfumblesports.com. So if you love the shirt, thanks for the compliment. Go to buttfumblesports.com for shirts like this and others just like it. Buttfumblesports.com. Go check out the shirts today. Bijan Robinson may blow up. Chris, I think Bijan's going to have a big year. Only concern I have about him is I'm hearing that Tyler Algier is going to remain a large part of that offense. Has me a little bit worried, but not enough for me to not draft him in the first round. Bean, I would take CeeDee Lamb over CMC. Lamb over CD. Trey Benson, we're being asked about. I think it's an interesting late round pick. I think it shouldn't happen until the 12th round at the earliest, but interesting backup play for James Conner. Top 3 MLB picks for today. I would take the Yankees plus 1.5. Yankees plus 1.5. I would take the Diamondbacks and the Rays under. Diamondbacks and Rays under. Take it at under 8.5 if you can. Then I'd also take the under in the Dodgers and Cardinals. Dodgers, Cardinals under. Rays, Diamondbacks under. Yankees plus 1.5. Astros on the money line. 4 of my favorite plays of the day. Astros money line, Dodgers, Cardinals under, Diamondbacks, Rays under, Yankees plus 1.5. Those are my 4 favorite plays of the day. By the way, if you're looking for a player prop bet, Aaron Judge. In every way, Aaron Judge and Corey Seager. Breece Hall or Bijan, and how close? I'd go Breece Hall 1. He would be ahead of Breece. Bijan, maybe a few picks behind that. It's close, though. Focus, 10-man, half PPR. Which spot is key early? Running back. I have this great debate with a friend of mine who insists on telling me that wide receiver early on is more valuable. He's wrong. He figured that out last year. Running back's more valuable. Brett, is A.J. Brown and Kyron Williams a good first 2 picks? Yes. I'm not as big on A.J. Brown as others are, but it's not a bad play. Top 5 fantasy picks in order, please. Breece Hall, CeeDee Lamb, Bijan Robinson, Tyreek Hill, Amon-Ra St. Brown, McCaffrey might go 6th or 7th for me. Do you like Richardson? I'm big on Richardson. Will he be better than Lamar Jackson? Probably not this year, but give it one more year and he probably will be. We are 2 rounds away from finishing up this draft. When we do, I'll probably sign off for the show. Make sure you guys join us at 4:30 tomorrow. We'll do a show for everybody at 4:30 tomorrow. If you want to be a part of our subscriber-only show, it will be tonight. Subscriber-only show tonight, probably around 10 p.m. So make sure you subscribe on TikTok. Subscribe on TikTok now. That will be a subscriber-only show. Subscriber-only show. And that will be available for all of you folks at 10 p.m. Eastern time tonight. So make sure that you're hitting us up and make sure you subscribe. J-Dubs, top quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson. Jalen Hurts. It's going to be quarterbacks that run. Quarterbacks that provide rushing touchdowns, their value goes up. So it's those that are going to be the best quarterbacks. Amon-Ra St. Brown over a running back? Probably not. It's close. If all the top running backs are taken and Amon-Ra St. Brown falls, the answer is yes, but it's close. Did you give any big board plays? Yes, we did. Just actually gave out a bunch of those. So Diamondbacks and Rays under. Diamondbacks and Rays under. Yankees plus 1.5. Yankees plus 1.5. Dodgers Cardinals under. Dodgers Cardinals under. Astros on the money line. Astros on the money line. Those are some of our favorite big board plays of the day. Locksmith, after Breece Hall, Bijan, CMC, what's the best RB? Jonathan Taylor probably is the next one off the board. Jahmyr Gibbs was prior to the hamstring injury. Top fantasy defenses, Jets, Browns, 49ers, Steelers. Keep your eye on the Steelers. But 49ers, Browns, Jets, Steelers are the top 4 for me. Brooks in a dynasty league, I like the idea. Jay Pickens or Williams. So Pickens is the better pick. I think Williams is the better value. Think about that one. Appreciate you guys watching the show. Hope you're loving the content and the conversation. It is so wonderful having you guys with us. Make sure you guys are with us for the subscriber-only show tonight. Again, that will be at 10 p.m. tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. If you want to join, subscriber-only show. You doing any baseball picks? Reese Roll, I just gave out some baseball picks. I'll repeat those for all those that want to know. Giants, A's. Giants and A's under. Giants and A's under. Giants and A's under. Blue Jays and Cubs under. Blue Jays and Cubs under. Rays and Diamondbacks. Rays and Diamondbacks under. Rays and Diamondbacks under. Blue Jays and Cardinals under. Blue Jays and Cardinals under. Hold on a second, I got to make my pick. Blue Jays and Cardinals under. Dodgers and Cardinals under. I like Red Sox plus 1.5. Red Sox plus 1.5. Yankees plus 1.5. So those two teams both are underdogs. Red Sox plus 1.5. Yankees plus 1.5. Hold on one second. Some other plays. I also like, again, Astros money line, Red Sox plus 1.5, Yankees plus 1.5. Player prop bets, love Corey Seager, love Aaron Judge. So those two immediately come to mind. Appreciate you guys being with us. Hope you guys have enjoyed the show. A lot of fun being with you guys today. We are closer to football than we've been in months. Cannot wait for the season to get started. College football starts next week. NFL starts in a couple of weeks. Cannot wait for all of it. Appreciate you guys being with us. Hope you guys have loved the content, loved the show. It has been a joy to be with you today. Make sure you DM me on Instagram if you want every bet I make every day. I give away my picks for free. DM me on Instagram, Butt Fumble Sports. DM me on Instagram to get every bet I make for free every single day. And again, we will do a subscriber-only show on TikTok tonight for fantasy football Q&A. So if you want personalized fantasy football attention tonight and all season long, DM me, subscribe on TikTok. That's it. You can get at it. Reese Roll. My picks are on the SHARPZ app every day. You can find them there every single day, regardless of the day. My picks are on the SHARPZ app every day. Appreciate you guys being with us. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Can't wait to be with you guys tonight at 10 p.m. for our subscriber-only show, and tomorrow at 4:30. 4:30 tomorrow afternoon is our show for everybody. Until then, I hope you guys stay healthy. I hope you stay safe. I hope you have a wonderful Sunday. Enjoy this baseball Sunday. I know we don't have football, but a full slate of baseball should be enough to get you guys going through the weekend. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll catch you guys tonight if you're a subscriber on TikTok. And if not, I'll catch you guys at 4:30 tomorrow afternoon. Until then, have a great day, everybody. Goodbye, everyone.